Okay, so there's no skips in here. In fact, there's no skips for a while. So all these stages are pretty fun platforming stages. Like starting from Torchlight Trouble, the game really picks up, in my opinion. Like Torchlight Trouble, really good stage. Rope Bridge Rumble, really good stage, unless you're doing the frame perfect trick. So yeah, there's a frame perfect super jump roll in this stage. I'm not gonna go over it. There's like plenty of tutorials on DKC speedruns. I don't think it's very race viable because it saves like 8 seconds and you can die if you miss it, and if you die you lose like, I don't know, 15 seconds. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend the super jump roll in this stage. So yeah, I'm not gonna go over it for that reason. And yeah, I guess I have to go into the next world already. Cramcrook Industries. So Oil Drum Alley also has a frame perfect super jump roll, which I don't know if I would recommend. Like, I guess you can go for it. Do I remember how to do this? Oh, I got it! Alright, I don't really remember the movement that you need to do for the naughties, but this is frame perfect. This is another super jump roll. And the thing is that it's kind of hard to die, like, so maybe it might be worth attempting this one. I don't really know what I would recommend. I guess I would recommend just like playing the stage. Yeah, I guess I would just recommend playing the stage over the super jump roll. But like I said, it's not like Rope Bridge Rumble, because Rope Bridge Rumble, which is the 4-5, I think. Yeah, the super jump roll in that one, if you fail it, you're kind of into the pit. But here, if you fail it, it's like kind of whatever. Like, I'll try and simulate like a fail attempt. What's the movement? I just did it just now and I already don't remember. It's just pure muscle memory. All right, I need to sacrifice Diddy here. Because like, if you fail it, it's like, oh well, I guess now I can play the stage. So if you want to learn the frame perfect SJR, you can do it. I'm not going to explain it. But I don't know. I guess you can die if you hit a cram wrong. So I'll leave the decision up to the player if they want to do it or not. I guess one thing to point out, however, is that you can super jump over the stage for safety reasons. It's not faster. And this applies to a lot of stages in this game, actually. Like, there's a lot of stages in this game that you can just super jump over, and it's slower, but it's safer, because you don't have to deal with any of the platforming, right? Like, you can't fall into a pit if you're flying over the whole stage. Explain real quick how to set it up here, I guess. But I won't go too in-depth. Like, you come into the stage, roll through this guy, jump over the fire, and then you want to get hit to set up the super jump. As you saw, Diddy went flying, so that counted as a hit on the slope. If you're like skipping ahead in the video and you don't know about super jumps, go back. I explain it in depth in one of the previous stages. So yeah, get hit. You kind of want to roll into the first cram. It's a little bit faster. Get Diddy here. Take a nice dip into the fire, and then from here you can just bounce onto the oncoming cram. And you'll get your super jump. It's pretty easy. I think it's easier. The setup is easier than the one in Forest Frenzy even. There's less chance for mistakes, really. And as with the super jump in Frenzy, like, you want to start holding B as soon as you take damage in the fire here. So holding B, still holding B, getting height. You want to get height. And I'm going to show you the visual cue here when you want to let go of B so that you fall where you want to fall. Once again, just like in Forest Frenzy. So once you see this barrel with the white star on it, it's just shortly after that. There's going to be the black rectangle in the floor. That's going to be your visual cue. So once the black thing is off screen, maybe a little later, maybe like at the beginning of the stairs, like somewhere between here is when you're gonna let go. And you should fall where you want if you let go in that area. So here's the white star, and here I let go. White star means visual cue soon, the visual cue is the black rectangle, you wait until it's off screen, and then you let go of B. Let's see where that takes me. And also, this is slower than rolling through the stage like optimally, but it's not that much slower. And in fact, sometimes if you're not experienced with the game, the super jump can be faster because Oil Drum Alley, doing the stage optimally with just rolling through it, it's pretty difficult. And as you can see here, like on the timer at the top, I got a 1 minute 22 seconds with the super jump. That's not that bad. Like, it's not that far behind what a good stage would be, unless you do the super jump roll. Then obviously you're losing quite a bit, but that's very perfect, so let's not worry about that one. Which is immediately the stage after Trick Track Trek. And this one's really easy, and it's a developer intended warp again. So let me just get a Kong here real fast. So you start the stage and there's a barrel, like I'll try and show where it is. It's pretty much right above where Diddy is right now. There's a barrel off screen and you want to try and like roll from this edge into it, jump into it. You can do this with Donkey, Diddy, doesn't matter. It's not that precise. If you want to like save from some frames, you can start rolling like early like that, or maybe not that early. Maybe here, and then that's it. You jump over this barrel, jump up here, and you're at the end of the stage. It's a very big skip. It's very easy. It skips an auto scroller too, so we all like that. Once again, moving on. So elevator antics. This is another stage where you can super jump over the whole thing, but I've never done it myself, so maybe I'm gonna investigate and find out how to do it. It's slower, obviously, to super jump over the stage, but you skip all the platforming. So if you think that's a good option, then maybe I'll investigate into it and add it like in post. Alright, so I did learn the super jump in elevator antics, and I don't think it's worth it, but I'm still gonna explain it just for the sake of completion. First thing you want to know is that you need 2 Kongs entering the stage, but here's the problem. If you did the super jump in Oil Drum Alley, which was 2 stages prior, you're only gonna have 1 Kong here, because this previous stage, Trick Track Trek, you skip the whole thing, so you don't get access to a DK barrel. So you can't really do both super jumps. You kind of have to decide, do I want to do ODA, do I want to do elevator antics? I think ODA is the better choice, but I'm still going to explain this. And this is also harder. So first things first, you roll through all these enemies. And when you reach down here, there's these crawl spaces. And I didn't really explain it, but there's like a little mechanic you can do with crawl spaces to make it faster. I didn't explain it because I didn't go over any of the stages that had crawl spaces in this tutorial. But long story short, if you're in a crawl space and you hold down and jump, you're not going to crawl. You can actually jump around, but you kind of have to jump into the crawl space for that to work. If you crawl in and then try to do it, it's not going to work. So you kind of jump into the crawl space and then hold down and jump like that. So it's faster, and this is pretty crucial here, because if you don't do this, you're going to be too slow to set up the super jump. So I'm going to redo the beginning real quick. You roll through everything. Make a save state here. As soon as you roll through the snake, you can jump pretty much, and that's going to set you up nicely to skip pretty much the whole crawl space here, which is nice. And like if you get a good jump, you don't even need to hold down. You can just jump and go, which is nice. But for the sake of consistency, I suggest to like hold down and do the jump. And then you want to get hit on the first snake. That's going to be your hit on a slope. Kind of. I know it doesn't look like a slope, but whatever. It works. Let's not complain. Just want to clarify real quick in post here. I know I keep saying to set up a super jump, you gotta get hit on a slope. And obviously you don't get hit on a slope in this elevator antics scenario here. So it's not really that you gotta get hit on the slope. It's more like that your partner has to run towards a slope after the fact. For instance, in this scenario, he needs to run to the wall here so that he then goes flying into the sky. So getting hit on a slope just automatically creates that scenario for you. Just want to clarify in pose, and that's it. Get hit here. Once you're donkey, you're gonna want to do more jumps in this crawl space. But it's not too difficult to jump into it, because the act of taking damage, if you're just holding forward, you're gonna kind of land in the right spot. So you can just hold kind of forward, down, and B, and you just kind of jump around. And the reason why you need to be fast here is that if you see Diddy, you see him fly into the sky here, confirming that the super jump is set up. If you're too slow and you don't see it, Diddy go into the sky, the super jump won't be set up. So for instance, if I crawl here, see I was too slow, I had to like let go forward because I think it would have still worked. Yeah, it would have still worked, but if you're too slow, you don't see Diddy go up into the sky, it's over, you don't have the super jump. So I suggest doing the jumps here in the crawl space. You see Diddy, climb up here, bounce on the mini Nicky, and then you grab the DK barrel. And this is where you're gonna get hit, because you know you always get hit for a super jump and then you bounce on something. But the caveat here is that you gotta stand at a kind of precise spot for the super jump, sadly. It's pretty much where I'm standing right now, at the bottom of the slope, with Donkey's face just in front of that brown line in the background. There's like a brown visible thing in the background, like if Donkey's face is in front of it, or like slightly in, there's like a gap between this thing and Donkey, like you should be fine, but it can be finicky. If you're too early, like sometimes it's not gonna work. If you're too late, you're just gonna... So this can happen. So I don't know. This one can be tricky, I won't lie, but if you're really at wit's end with the stage, you don't know, you can't beat it, maybe try and learn this super jump. I don't know if I recommend it, honestly, but there it is. That's how you do it. And obviously... And then, yeah, you want to land on the barrel and then fall and bounce on the snake. If you get an instant bounce on the snake, you're probably going to grab the rope here. That's why it's a little tricky. The positioning. And yeah, obviously you hold B the moment that you take damage, and you hold B the whole time until you gain height, the desired height that you want. That goes for all super jumps. So yeah, let me explain the visual cue here. So here you kind of get stuck in the wall, doesn't matter, just keep going, still holding forward Y and B, still gaining height. And the visual cue for this, you see these B's here, that means the cue is soon. I would say once these B's are passed, and once this last rope is off screen, I would say let go of B. And you should land where you want to at the end of the stage. Now, there's a little thing here. You can soft lock doing the super jump. If you let go of B too early, you can land out of bounds into the cave. That's very bad. That's maybe another reason why the super jump's not a good idea. But if you really want to do it, maybe hold B a little longer just to get more height, just to be on the safe side. That's up to you. And then you see Diddy is like at the top of the screen here. Once that happens, you just kind of drop down and exit the stage. So 104, I mean, I lost like 5 seconds at the end of the stage because I was waiting and I was talking. So you can still get an okay time with the super jump, but like I said, it's harder than ODA and you can't really go for both because of the amount of Kongs you have. Elevator Antics also has a super jump roll in it. The setup is essentially the same as the super jump, but it's just not recommended. It doesn't save enough time. It's pretty difficult. Just don't worry about it. Poison Pond's an interesting level. There's like a bunch of small skips, but I'm not gonna go over it because it's all pretty self-explanatory if you just watch any speedrun of this game. I would say just for all the water levels in general, just because in water levels you want to get Anguard the fish, it's just faster and better. So like for all the water levels, just make sure you know where all the Anguard locations are. It's pretty nice, except Croctopus Chase, of course, doesn't have an animal buddy. Minecart Madness is where there's like a interesting skip, which is the skipping the first minecart. It's not too difficult and it looks pretty neat. You enter the stage, you roll into the first beaver and the second one, jump into the DK barrel. I feel like most of the time you're gonna enter the stage with one Kong, so get into the habit of getting that DK. I don't know if it's needed for the trick to work, but just do it anyway. You're gonna land around this area. Make sure not to be too close to the edge, but when you land, you're gonna want to swap. And this swap's kind of weird because if you do it wrong, the glitch won't work. So I'm gonna try and show it. So you land around here, you wait a little bit and then swap. You don't want to like get an instant swap. Like if you kind of run here, for instance, and I swap, notice how far Donkey was when I swapped. The glitch won't work in that instance for some reason. So don't, like if you come in super slow and then you want to go like this and you're like, okay, here we go, the glitch just, it won't work. So instead, just do this, land around here, once again not too close to the edge, because if you do too close to the edge and you swap, you might just like fall to your death. So be safe, land, wait a little bit. Don't have to wait like that long, just like a few frames, wait, swap, and then you're gonna fall into the minecart here. You don't want to jump into it, you just want to, while you're swapping, you can kind of buffer forward and run so that you start running immediately and fall into the minecart so that the glitch works. It's a little strange that you have to fall and not jump, but that's how it is. Do it again. Okay, so now you're in the minecart. All you have to do is go forward and get hit by the bird here. Still holding forward and Y as usual, always holding Y. Diddy kind of gets thrown out and you can just kind of start rolling into the air at that point. So you skip all these minecarts by doing that. If you did the swap wrong or just the setup wrong, you're just gonna kind of bounce on the bird or like get hit and just kind of fall to your death like that because you won't be able to trigger an air roll. The glitch isn't set up, so I guess it's risky for that, but like the setup is pretty easy if you do it properly. You just, it's pretty hard to fail, I would say. Once you're rolling through the air, just be careful not to touch the minecarts, because if you touch a minecart, you're gonna start riding it and you lose a glitch at that point. And be careful of bees also. And it's a little faster to roll through neckies like that, like I just did. But it can be dangerous because if you bounce on them, you're gonna lose you're just gonna bounce on them into the pit and die. So if you want to be safe, just avoid everything. There's the halfway. Once you get the halfway, that means that the glitch is almost done. You get to the section with a tire, the barrel, and a bee. 2 bees actually. And that means that it's almost done, because you can't actually ride this out until the end of the stage here. You roll. You can't roll anymore past this tire for some reason. So you kind of have to just make your way into the next minecart, and from here you just beat the stage as was intended. If you grab the halfway and you die at any point, you can, and you've set up the glitch, when you got the halfway you had the glitch going, you can still do it. Come out of the halfway point, the glitch is still active. So this is kind of tricky, but if you manage to jump just before the barrel explodes and you land in the cart, like I can't even do it. It is kind of tight, but the glitch is still active from that point, so it's always worth, like if you die, it's always worth trying to at least jump out of the cart. Alright, so there is a faster way to do this, but it is frame perfect. But I don't know, it doesn't feel frame perfect, but it's not really race strat, I would say. I'm gonna showcase it just once, but you can do a jump roll here. You get a few rolls off of these, and then you can attempt to do a jump roll off of either of these neckies, so you kind of get 2 tries at it. But the reason why it's not a good race strat is if you're too late on your Y press, you die. Like, basically, to do a jump roll, you just gotta press Y when you land on an enemy. So it's like it saves 4 seconds to get this jump roll here, like that. So that would save 4 seconds, but not recommended for race. If you press 1 frame too late, you're dead. But I just wanted to showcase it real quick. If you do happen to get the strategy, you want to jump out of your jump roll by pressing B, of course, right before these bees. So after Minecart Madness, there's Blackout Basement. It's a pretty difficult stage, but there's no skips in it, so I'm gonna skip it. You can super jump over Blackout Basement, but personally I don't think it's worth it. I think it's a little risky to set it up. And yeah, and then there's the boss dumb drum. I'm not gonna explain that one either, so let's move on. Time to move on to the last world. Chimp Caverns. And this is a doozy. This is absolutely frame perfect. And do I recommend doing this in the race? I don't even know. Here's the thing. If you hit Y on the perfect frame here, you save almost a minute. And every speedrun of this game pretty much depends on this stage, because it saves so much time. You gotta hit the frames. You get technically 2 attempts at it. Like, you can jump roll off of this creme here, but it's just not a race strategy, because you can die in 1,000 ways doing this jump roll. There's a difficult B skip at the end, so just don't even bother with this one. This one, however, called Bird Tut, oh, first try. This one saves a lot of time, and I guess since I got it first try, I'll pause because there's a few things to explain here. But basically, I'm going to explain the setup after. I did the setup so that the Nikki would be on the proper height, and I would fall from the platform, land on the Nikki, and then press Y. You have 1 frame to press Y. And I hit it here, and if you do, you get the jump roll. You can skip the whole stage, the whole auto-scroller. And here's the thing, is that it's not that risky to attempt it, at least. Because yes, you can die, but you'll only die if you react slowly, like after you fail it, because if you press the button too early, you're gonna roll through the necky, and if you react fast enough, you can kind of like jump back onto the platform, and at that point you just have to accept that you missed the jump roll and you gotta beat the stage normally. If you press too late, you're kind of gonna bounce on the necky, and you can also react from there and get back on the platform. If you're slow to react, you'll fall in the pit. That's why it's risky. It's a pretty long death. But with practice, I feel like you should never really die missing this jump roll, which is why I think that it should at least be attempted, because it saves so much time. But anyway, I'm gonna first go over the movement if you get it, and then I'm gonna go over the setup. Oh, what did I do? Did I save state? No! Now it's gonna take an hour until I get it again. Okay, I'm just gonna go and explain the setup. There's a lot of different setups for this. If you want to learn more setups, you can go on dkcspeedruns.com. There's a lot of information. We've been working on that wiki for like half a decade plus, almost a decade at this point. Like, there's a lot of information there. But this is my setup. I'll try to explain it. Oh, why does this keep happening? I'm trying to make a save state, but I start selecting. Okay. So once the platform reaches this corner here, just before it starts like going to the right, and I'm standing in the middle of the platform too, you kind of run and roll over here, and once you land, you immediately grab the fuel because you need it. If you don't get this fuel, the platform it's over at that point. So wait until you're at the corner, go forward, roll, get this, and then from here you have multiple options. There's a lot of setups. Some people just fall down here, like wait a little bit for the platform, fall down, and then try and get the jump roll like that. My setup, I kind of bounce on the necky, wait until I land on the platform, and then I hold right. And try and time my Y press as I fall into the necky. It's pretty difficult. It's absolutely frame perfect. There's no way around that. Which is why I'm not gonna dwell too long on it. Like, this is my setup. There's a million other ones. And it's all about pressing Y on the frame. That's the frame. So is this to make a safe state? Okay. So if you get the frame, you'll be flying for a bit. But notice how this bee kills me. So you gotta be aware here and kind of do a little back and forth to avoid that bee. And then immediately after that, or is it these? Yeah, I think it's these. So okay. If you get the jump roll, there's this one bee you gotta avoid. There's a bunch of beavers here. And then you reach these beavers, and you kind of waste time until the last beaver is off screen. Are these the right beavers? Yeah, I think it's the right beavers. Anyway, the reason I'm doing that is because when you're in a jump roll state, it doesn't appear like it is, but you're slowly falling. Like, I'm losing pixels every few seconds. I don't know exactly the timing, but if you don't do that, notice how close I am to these bees here. If you don't lose height, these bees are gonna hit you, so avoid this bee. Once you're at the second set of beavers, you just kind of wait around until the last beaver is falling, and then you can go. And you should be in the clear for these bees. And I think that's it. I think you're in the clear at that point, up until the last end of the stage. When you see like these bananas here, you know that you need to jump out soon. So jump out, take the barrel. I think you guys get the idea at this point anyway. It's pretty easy to, like, once you have the jump roll, it's pretty easy to avoid all the stuff. It's much harder if you get the one on the creme, the jump roll on the creme. Like, you have to dodge some pretty difficult bees there. But if you do it with the bird, it's pretty easy to dodge the stuff. And then, yeah, from here, you just kind of beat the stage. This was bad movement. Don't do the movement I just did, but you beat the stage. Just once again, like, this is to the player's discretion if they want to attempt it. I'll try to show, like, what I mean when I say you should never die if you fail it, which is why I think like you should at least attempt it, because if you get it, it saves so much time, and it's not that difficult. I mean, it's frame perfect, but anyone can press Y, right? You just gotta press Y on the correct frame. Well, I guess to be fair, you gotta set up the neck key to be at the proper height too. So your movement beforehand is also important. So wait until you're at the corner. I'm standing in the middle of the platform. Corner, go, roll, get this. Wait a beat, land there, wait until you land on the platform and then hold forward. It's kind of hard to do while I'm talking, but... And like... See, I pressed Y too early there and I got a roll and I didn't die because there's a barrel down there. See, there's a barrel down here, so if you press too early, chances are you're gonna end up in this barrel and you're not gonna die. Yeah, I guess this is a nice thing to clarify, is that when I say I'm pressing Y, obviously I'm holding Y like this entire time when I'm doing this whole movement. So I guess I'm tapping Y because I'm already holding Y, but I want to repress Y as I land on the bird, so it's kind of a Y tap, I guess you could say. Because like if I'm not holding Y, you know I'm going to be walking here, so you're already holding Y, you got to kind of re-tap it on the proper frame. But if you're too late, you get this bounce here. And see, it's not very hard to react out of it and not die. Like, oh, I bounced, and you kind of hold back. I've seen people bounce and die, but I don't know. I feel like if you're ready for it, it should, like, this can happen, I guess. But if you're ready for it, I don't feel like it should happen. So that's why I feel like this trick is the kind of trick that you should at least attempt. And it looks cool too. So yeah, it's Bird Tut Tank Top Trouble. And just to clarify here, in the Tank Top Trouble, the setup is very important because, you know, I do all this specific movement before the actual jump roll, and I mentioned it briefly, but all this is so that the bird here is on the right height, so that you can fall on him from the platform. If he's too high, you're just gonna run into him and get hit, or you even might just fall to your death. And the setup also puts the platform in a good location for you. So a lot of this is all about the movement prior to the jump roll. It's very important. So if you're not confident with your movement, you can't really get the setup consistently, the bird's always at a weird spot, or you fall off the platform, then don't worry about this trick, because it's only safe if you're confident in your setup. Like I showed, you're gonna bounce on the bird, you can react to it, or if you roll into the bird, it's not a big deal either. So yeah, only go for this trick if you're confident in your ability to manipulate the bird and the platform. Okay, so after you're done with Tank Top Trouble, there's Manic Mincers. It's another pure platforming stage that you can super jump over if you want. Once again, the super jump is a little slower than if you roll through the stage, but it's easier to fly through over everything than to actually learn all the jumps and timing and everything. So I'll showcase. So this one's a little different, and I'm also gonna like explain it a little quick because I feel like I've explained multiple super jumps by now. So like, if you've jumped around in a video, you don't know about super jumps, you can go back, look at a bunch of previous stages. I've been talking about super jump for like hours, I feel like. So first thing you do is you just run into the beaver. You don't even need to think about it, just run to the beaver, then you'll have enough iframe to roll past the mincer here. Get Diddy back, jump over this mincer here, and roll into the beaver, and you're gonna have to wait the cycle here to squeeze under the mincer. So let's do it again. Get hit immediately, your iframe to the mincers, get Diddy, jump over this, roll to the beaver, wait here, and then jump over here, jump over this mincer again, and this super jump behaves a little differently than the other one. We're not gonna need to take damage on this one. We can use the box here to our advantage. And I'm not an expert on the science of this game, so I don't really know why this one can work without taking damage or whatever, but it's pretty easy. You just swap here, and then you run into the crate, and you hold B. Like, you can hold B at any point here. You don't even really need to time it. Like, you can buffer your B press during the swap and hold B the whole time as you run on the crate. Or you can just start holding B as soon as you hit the crate. Doesn't really matter. You'll get the super jump either way. Very easy, this one. If you're not comfortable with mincers, it is a tough stage. It's also going to be at the end of the race. So might be worth learning this one. So once again, I'm just swapping here, and then holding B. Right, and I'm going to tell you the visual cue where to let go. I think you guys know the drill by now, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. So the visual cue here is when you see the horizontal moving mincer, this one, there's going to be some bananas right after, so you want to be here. You want the first banana to be to the edge of your screen. That's where you're going to let go. So let's do it real fast to show that it works. There's the horizontal mincer. There's the bananas. Let go here. So now I'm falling, and let's see where I end up. And also let's see what kind of IL time I can get without even playing the stage, really. Look at all these mincers and these pits that you don't have to worry about. I do think this stage is very fun, though, doing it without a super jump. Probably one of my favorite stages in this game. I have a lot of favorite stages in this game. There we go. Right at the exit. That's it. That's all she wrote. Alright, so Misty Mine is pretty cool because if you just did the super jump in Manic Mincers, it's a super jump where you don't have to take damage for the second part of it, which means that you're going to have both Kongs from Misty Mine. And that's pretty nice because it allows you to do yet another super jump for the entire stage. And that's only if you want, of course, as usual. It's slower. Just like a super jump, it's only faster in Forest Frenzy, okay? Like, everything else is slower than rolling around. I've said it plenty of times already, but I'll just reiterate. And I'm going to go over this one pretty quick because I'm sure you guys have the basics of super jump pretty down at this point. So here goes. You start the stage, jump over the TNT, roll in the snake, and then jump into this snake to take damage. Pretty easy. Jump in this guy, take damage. After that, jump up here and throw the DK barrel. You can throw it whichever way you want, doesn't really matter. And then you immediately want to swap. Throw the DK barrel, swap. And this is kind of like in Mincers. You can start holding B while the swap is happening, like buffer the B input. And then run onto the snake while holding B. Or you can time the B press as you're falling onto the snake, it's up to you. The important thing here is that you don't jump at any point after the swap, because that's going to kill your super jump. For instance, let's say I do this, I swap, and I accidentally jump, and I'm like, oh no, and I'm gonna jump on the snake instead to get the super jump. That's not gonna work. You can't jump. You have to fall onto the snake. It's the same principle in Mincers. You can't jump on the crate. You have to fall on the crate. So here we go again. Get the DK, swap, then onto the snake while holding B. And you want to turn around, of course, because the exit is this way, not the other way. And try and turn around as fast as possible. Like that. And just overall, you want to be pretty consistent on your turnaround, because the turnaround is going to put you at a different location, which means the place where you're going to have to let go of B in the air is going to be slightly different depending on how fast your turnaround was. So I'll show the visual cue as usual. This one is, once you see this bit here, there's like a rope and there's floating bananas. It's a little after. It's maybe the screen like this with the platform on the left edge of the screen. A little later, I think in this area is good. Maybe once you see all the 3 bananas there at the end of the screen, might be a good one also. The platform at the end of the stage is pretty large, so it's pretty lenient, but still I would, if you're feeling unsafe, hold longer than you think, because it's always safer to hold longer than hold short and then fall into a pit. But obviously if you hold too long, you can lose a lot of time. So let's see where this takes me. And this might take a while here. This is kind of a long stage and an early super jump. So just falling asleep here. Personally, I'm not that big of a fan of all these super jumps over the platforming stages, but they can be helpful for sure. But I don't know, I find it a little boring. And yeah, I held a little too long here, so it took a while for Diddy to fall into the exit, but it's not a big deal. You guys can mess around with a visual cue of your own, because it's going to differ depending on your movement, like I said. So that's pretty much it for Misty Mine. There is a super free roll in this stage, and this one is actually pretty free. So the one in Forest Frenzy is called Super Free Roll. It's not that free, that one, but the one in Misty Mine is pretty free. So maybe I would recommend also learning that if you're feeling frisky. It saves quite a bit of time, especially over the super jump method. But the setup is a little convoluted. Maybe I'm gonna add at the end of the video a little addendum about how to do the SFR here, but I'm probably pretty rusty at it, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we're past Misty Mine. Now we're at Loopy Lights. And Loopy Lights, there's no skip in there, so I won't go over it. I'm pretty sure there's another super jump that's slower but safer. I don't know it. Maybe I'll learn it, add it in post. We'll see. Okay, so I did learn the Loopy Lights super jump. However, I don't think it's that good of super jump. It's a little tricky. As usual, you need both Kongs. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not actually going to explain it, but I just think it's not really worth it because there's some difficult things going on. You kind of want to jump over this crocodile, which is kind of tough because he's going to mimic your jumps, and then you want to grab the DK barrel, and you're going to want to fall on that same claptrap or crocodile as it's falling down this pit. So, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a little questionable in my opinion. I think this stage is not that hard as far as platforming goes if you take your time in some section. So I would say learning how to do the stage normally is probably the better idea here. But if you really want to learn the super jump, then there's a video on DKCSpeedruns.com, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Platform Perils has a wrong warp, was recently found, skips the whole level. It's pretty easy to do. I would say if you're learning this game, this might be one of the first things you want to learn as far as big skips go. But there's a few things to do before you can enter perils to do the wrong warp. You gotta go back a little bit to Manic Mincers and set up what is called the split up glitch. And yeah, the optimal way to set up split up glitch would be after Misty Mine. Like after Misty Mine sends you to Funky Flight, you would go back and set up the split up glitch in Manic Mincers. The problem is that if you do that, sure, you save overworld travel as opposed to doing it after Loopy Lights. But the problem is that if you do Loopy Lights with the split up glitch active, when you get if you get hit at all, the game soft locks. See? That's it. That's my run is over. I can't reload. I mean, I guess unless you save, you can reset and reload, but that's a pretty bad outcome. That's why in a race situation, you want to set up the split up glitch after Loopy Lights. It's like, sure, you're going to have a little more overworld to travel. But man, it's a race. You don't want a soft lock. Anyway, here's how you set up the split up glitch. You enter Manic Mincers. You want to be Diddy only. Like, you don't want to have Donkey with you. So you come here and you grab this DK barrel. And now what you want to do is jump and throw the barrel and pause before it collapses and breaks. And this is how you set up the split up glitch. And then you press select, you start select out of the stage, essentially. And you're halfway there for the split up glitch. I just want to point out that it's a little dangerous, the barrel throw. Like, if you're too late on your pause, the barrel breaks, and it's like, well, I guess now I gotta kill Donkey again, start select out, and attempt again. So you lose 10-15 seconds. So you want to make sure, like, don't go for like super optimal. Oh, I'm throwing, like, not jumping and throwing and going for optimal. Just take your time, jump, throw the barrel, pause before it breaks, and then start select out of the stage. Like that. So then I would press select and start select out. And you want to like pause after the barrel left Diddy's hand, so you can't be too early either. Like if you pause and Diddy hasn't thrown the barrel yet, then that won't work. So you gotta kind of time the start the start input here. It's pretty important. So you start select, and you're gonna re-enter Mincers a second time. And this time you're just gonna roll into the Mincer here and die. And now you have full split up glitch active. So it's pretty simple, I mean, you just roll in a Mincer and fall into the pit. You have to fall into the pit, by the way. Otherwise, like, there could be dire consequences. I'm not an expert on split up glitch because I don't run any percent, but you want to fall in that pit. There's probably some like soft lock or something weird. But anyway, let's do it again. Pause, select, re-enter. And then this time just roll into it, fall in the pit, die. And that's it. Split up glitch is now active. Go all the way back to perils. And that's a fun thing to point out. If you're kind of quick doing the split up glitch in Mincers, like if you die quick, you're gonna get a 420 time on the ROM hack. Like the ROM hack is gonna say your IL was 4 seconds, 20 milliseconds. That's funny, right? All right, maybe it's not funny. whatever. Let's move on. So in perils, you jump over this guy, and you just kind of roll, like just make it to the next section here with the DK barrel. Like I'll show it optimal, like what it would look like. You can kind of roll from here. It's a little risky, maybe not. I think I suggest going down and then rolling. I say that, but I die doing it, but it's safer doing this. The safer way would be to wait until the army rolls past, and then you grab the DK barrel. Then you would jump here, and you want to jump pretty late here. I'll try and like give a good visual cue. The optimal way would be like to bounce back on the army here. Let's see. Like that, and then you kind of grab it. But I don't really suggest the bounce back. Like, it's a little much in my opinion. You can just kind of wait it out. Oh, maybe not wait that long though. But like, wait it out. And then you want to jump late, and you should make it in the platform like below, because there's a platform below here. And it sends you this way into a bonus. And this bonus is crucial for the wrong warp. So wait, grab this, and like don't jump immediately when you grab the DK barrel, because your jump input is gonna get eaten. Like this, it's just gonna eat the whole input. Like, oh, I pressed B, I didn't jump. Like make sure like you've seen Diddy walk forward a little bit before you jump, just to make sure your input won't get eaten. That makes it really safe. So wait until you walk, you can go back. And the visual cue I use for when to jump here is like, you see how this platform is like, I don't know, is wooden planks. You can see it as one here, one here, one here, one here. Like when you're past this dark one that I'm standing on, you can kind of jump, like full jump with the barrel, and you should make it under there. It's a pretty good visual cue for that. So go in with this guy and wait until you're past the thing. That's it. There's only one input left for the wrong warp after that. And it's to throw the barrel here. I don't know why that didn't work. 1 second. Okay, I threw too early on that one. It's not super precise. Like, I don't think I've ever failed this in a run. I failed it in practice. But the visual cue for when to throw is, if you look above Diddy right now, there's like a little... I'll try to like re-enter the state and show it. But like, you see how there's like the wood kind of goes down under the platform. There's one here, and then one here. This one that's under me, once Diddy is below this little protrusion in the wood, that's when you release Y and you throw the DK barrel. And it's gonna wrong warp you out of the stage. Okay, if you throw too early, that's what's gonna happen. Donkey's gonna fall in the pit. If you throw too late, you won't have time to throw the barrel. You just end up in the bonus. Like, the barrel doesn't have time to break, and you're in the bonus. So too late in the bonus, too early, you die. But it's really not that precise. Like, the visual cue is pretty good. Like, here. See, Diddy is right under the wooden thing I was talking. Like, if I unpause here, and I let go of Y, it should work. Well, maybe not, because the pause screwed it up. But, like, that was I was standing at a good spot. Like, here. That's it. So just real quick in post, I want to point out that if you have split up glitch coming in here, you really gotta be careful. Because if you get hit by this guy, you're gonna soft lock also. Just like if you do loopy lights, the split up glitch, you gotta just play it safe. Just don't gamble it. Like, if you need to do a candy, just go save at Candy's save point for the stage. The skip saves so much time that it's probably worth it to even drop a safety save and attempting it. So yeah, be careful of this army. Like, if you have to, just bait him off the platform. Oh, actually he respawns if you do that. I guess, yeah, just do it like this maybe. Just don't get hit. I still think just jumping over him, grabbing the DK, going a little bit over this way is pretty good, but just be careful. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the super free roll in Misty Mine. I said I would add it at the end of the video, so here we are. This is a little advanced, I guess, but it can be pretty consistent. I mean, if you practice this enough, you should be able to do it essentially every time. And since I didn't talk about any or showcase any super jump roll or super free roll in this tutorial, I guess this is the better one to show in my opinion, because this is the easiest one. So first things first, in this stage there is a super jump roll you can do off of this snake here, I believe. It's this one at least. And it is frame perfect, and since it's a super jump roll, you gotta hold B while pressing the Y button. I've never learned it, I never intend to learn it. It's I think there's no reason for it, just because the super free roll is so much better, even though the super free roll is a little slower. I'm willing to lose a couple seconds just for consistency's sake, so if you want to learn the super jump roll in this stage, go to dkcspeedruns.com. I'm not going to talk about it. So the super free roll, what you want to do at the beginning is the same thing as the super jump, if you've learned that one already. So you just jump over TNT, roll into the snake, jump into this snake to take damage as the opener. There we go. After that, you go up here, you grab the DK barrel again, except this is where it gets different. You're going to want to bounce on this snake with the DK barrel, and this is going to send you this is going to break the DK barrel automatically, and it's going to send you bouncing forward. And after that, you want to stand at a specific spot. It's not as specific as in elevator antics. This is much more lenient, but it's pretty much where I'm standing right now. The snakes are kind of annoying, but I'm going to pause. There's like a beam in front of, a wooden beam in front of the donkey's head. If you're positioned in that general area, you should be fine. This is the area in which you're going to take damage. So like this area, just the wooden beam is a good visual cue. And then you're going to take damage from the snake, bounce forward. And obviously you're holding forward and Y, because this is Donkey Kong Country and that's what you do in this game. And I'm sure you guys remember the super jump rule. When you get hit, start holding B. So we'll be holding B for a while here. And this is what makes this tricky. Because you gotta hold B while doing everything else, which makes it kind of annoying, but if you let go of B, you lose all your super jump. So when you get hit, start holding B. It's gonna send you flying forward, and this time you want to grab the rope. So this is good that you're grabbing the rope here. Stand here, get hit, bounce, and it sends you flying into the rope. At this point, you're still holding forward, Y, and B. And when you're on the rope, you want to wait until the rope is past the second banana here. So right here. See how I'm past the second banana? Once you're at this visual cue, you're going to hold down until you're off the rope, and you're going to keep holding down. And if you do it right, you're going to end up on the barrel at the bottom of the screen. Let me try and do it. Oh, that was too early. Here. And you end up on this, I don't know, like this toxic barrel, whatever it is. And from here, you can roll from here. And notice how I'm flying into the air? That's because I've been holding B this whole time, as I'm still in super jump. So I can still fly into the air as long as I've been holding B this whole time since I've been hit by the snake. So I'm floating. And when I let go of B is when I'm going to fall, as usual. So let's do it again. Past the second banana, go down, roll to the left immediately as you touch the barrel. And this is kind of annoying because you're still holding B this whole time, but you gotta press Y. So the way I do it is I kind of have the middle of my thumb holding B, and I'm using tip of my tongue for Y. I guess that's how I hold the controller for most of the game. And yeah, you're gonna wanna go to the left, and you're gonna stop once you reach this beam here behind Diddy with the light attached to it. Once you reach this beam, you're gonna go back to the right. And this is the part that's tricky. This is where this trick is hard, because you can't hit this wall. If you hit this wall, you lose all your speed, and you're just gonna float up, and it kind of does nothing. So you gotta hit this beaver, and yet avoid the wall at any point, because what you want to do is kind of make it up here without hitting the wall. Like, you want to cut this corner here and kind of keep going. So to the left up until the beam, go back into the beaver. To the left, back into the beaver. Now here's the thing. Once you're past the beaver, once you've rolled through the beaver, you're gonna let go of Y, because you've been holding Y. Like, obviously I'm not gonna talk about B anymore because you hold B this whole sequence, but Y, you press Y once you land on the toxic barrel, and you're holding it. So I'm pressing Y, holding Y, holding Y, until I roll into the beaver. And once I'm past the beaver, then I let go of Y. And what this does is effectively create an air extendo. It's pretty weird, but it's essentially an air extendo. And when you re-trigger the roll with the extendo, you're going to cut this corner really tightly, and you're going to be able to maybe hit more enemies here, which is going to give you more speed. So once again, grab the rope, pass the second banana, go down, press and hold Y immediately. As you touch the crate here, go left to the beam with the light, come back into the beaver, stop holding Y once you're past the beaver. Still holding B this whole time, obviously. It's hard to do with like pausing. So, and then you're kind of gonna wiggle around here until the snake falls onto you, and that's gonna give you more speed, because the more enemies you hit, the faster you go, up until I think 4 enemies. So you want to hit the snake to get more speed. And sometimes the snake is not there. You need the snake to be there. Like, if the snake is not there, essentially you lose the trick. So if the snake is not there, that can mean that you went down from the rope too early. So like that. Notice how the snake is not here. And I think if you go too far to the left, he's not. Oh, he's still there. He's still there. But you'll be there too late if you do that. So you really gotta let go down of the rope at a good time so that the snake is spawned. So pass the second banana, go down, press and hold Y, let go of Y after the beaver, and then once you hit the snake, you want to try and cut the corner, this corner, as tight as possible with your roll, because you don't want to touch the wall, otherwise it's over. So you want to cut that corner as tight as possible, and once you've cut it, you repress Y, and that's where you kind of get your air extendo. Try and showcase how it looks like. Oh, see, I went down too early. The snake wasn't there. Alright, and I've repressed Y, and look how it sent me flying horizontally. Like, I was kind of going more in a vertical motion, but when I cut the corner and I repressed Y, it sent me more horizontal. And just, I know I've been saying it a lot, but I've been holding B like the whole time of all this. You don't let go of B like until much further into the stage when you want to start falling. So like, you kind of ignore B because you're just holding it the whole time. You focus on your Y press here. So you press Y and hold it here. Roll into the beaver. Once you've passed the beaver, let go of Y. Wiggle around here until you roll into the snake, and then cut to the right here. And then repress Y around this area so that it sends you horizontally. And like, ideally you're gonna hit 2 more snakes here for maximum speed with the super free roll. So yes, all this is pretty advanced. There's a lot of, I guess, complicated button inputs, but it's essentially risk-free, right? Like, the worst thing that's gonna happen is that you'll go for it and I don't know, you'll probably bonk the wall or something here, or like something weird's gonna happen. You're most likely not gonna die. I mean, unless you just completely misplay it like that, but that's why I think it's worth showcasing, because like you're not really gonna die. Worst case scenario is like, well, I guess now I gotta play the stage, or maybe reset the stage and go for a super jump instead. There's no pit anywhere near the setup area, so yeah, I think it's an interesting strategy because of that. But anyway, let's explain the second part. Of course, so here, let go of Y. Okay, I went down too early on the rope. Let go of Y, repress Y. Okay, and yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew my Y repress wasn't tight enough around the corner. So like, 1 second, I'm gonna pause. This snake that's under me, because my Y press wasn't tight enough around that corner, I can't hit the snake here, and this would be a fourth enemy, which would put me at the optimal speed that you want for this trick. But this is not an uncommon outcome. You only hit 3 enemies, because after I repress Y, I did hit one of the first snake. You're usually going to hit that first snake. That's why we call it 3 enemy super jump roll. So when this happens, and this is not a bad outcome at all. Like, you're going to lose a few seconds over a 4 enemy super jump roll or super free roll. But like, it's not bad at all. Like, look how fast I'm still going through the stage. But anyway, what's important to know is that I'm still holding forward Y and B. I've been holding B ever since that snake hit me long ago, before I jumped on the rove. So if you get 3 enemies on your SFR, you're gonna want to let go of B at a different spot than if you get 4, because you have a different speed. That makes sense. So the visual cue, if you get 3, let me open my little notepad, because I wrote it down, because I don't really remember. I don't really actively run the game anymore. Let me reload. So I'm still holding forward Y and B. I'm not even sure if holding forward is necessary, if holding Y is necessary, but just do it out of habit, because this is what this game is. Anyway, once you're past the halfway, let me go back. You see the halfway point? That means that you're going to have to let go soon. Right after the halfway, there's a pit. You see there's like a snake thrower here. There's like a rope. There's a pit with like a V-shaped banana with a DK barrel in the middle. And then there's another snake thrower here. So depending, like most of the visual cues, depending on all the scenarios, are around this area. So if you get 3 enemies, which is what I have right now in this save state, I'm gonna want to let go before, like when the screen is about here. Like the left of the screen is before the V of bananas. Maybe even like the rope area. Because the screen moves so fast, it gets kind of tricky to time it very precisely. But I would say around this area is where you would let go if you get a 3 enemy super jump roll. And the platform at the end of the stage is pretty large, so it's not too bad if you're not like exactly where you want to be. Obviously, too early can be scarier than too late, as usual. But anyway, let's try to do it. So holding B, I'm gonna let go. There's the halfway, so I let go here. The halfway like is a good indicator to show you, oh, pay attention, it's coming soon. And notice how much faster this is than a regular super jump. This is actually faster than beating the stage as intended, as opposed to the super jump. Notice 38.15, that's pretty decent. And yeah, I landed right at the exit where I wanted to be, so that's good. Alright, so I'm gonna shoot a visual cue now for when you get the 4 enemies. It's probably gonna be 3 again. Nope. Okay, that was 4. It's not very different, like past the halfway. So this would be the other queue from if you get 3. And for 4, since you're faster, it's just a little further. It's past pretty much, once you're past the pit with the banana, the V banana, pretty much once the camera is past the snake thrower here, around here, maybe a little later just to be safe. So I'm gonna unpause and let go of B here. Let's see what happens. I would wager that I might lose a little bit of time at the end here. Maybe I'm gonna fall a little too late, but we'll see. Yeah, see, I wasn't late by too much though. I was very minor. But yeah, that would be the queue for 4 enemies. And there's a weird scenario where sometimes you get 4 enemies, but you kind of get a slowdown on one of the snake thrower. So in that case, you just gotta think, well, I lost a little bit of speed because I touched this crate for some reason, so you just gotta let go earlier. So I think the visual cue for 4 enemies, if you hit the can, is when the camera to the left is scroll. I guess I'll just show it. It's like I can't really ever get it to hit the can, so I can't show that, but if you do hit the can and get 4 enemies, visual cue is like around here. After once the banana, the V banana is off screen, so about right here, is when you would let go. If I do it here, let's see what happens if I do it. If I use this visual cue with a regular 4 enemies where I didn't bonk with the can, I'm gonna guess that I'm gonna fall a little early. I'm gonna lose some roll speed. Oh yeah, that was actually pretty early. Yeah. So yeah, I only use this visual cue if you slow down and hit the can. And I think that's pretty much it for this trick. Pretty much wrap things up. It's pretty hard, but I figured I'd at least show what it's about. So I'm gonna try and do it, you know, from the top in one go, because there's a lot. I guess the beginning, get hit by the snake, grab the DK, bounce on the snake, stand on a good spot, hold B from now on, get bounced on the rope, pass the second banana, go down, start pressing Y, let go after the beaver, cut tight, repress Y here. Oh, 4 enemies. I hit the 4 enemies here. So the visual cue is gonna be the snake thrower that's past the pit, past the halfway, so right here. And the trick is done. It's a lot of things to remember, but I think there's only maybe 1 or 2 parts that are hard to execute, and it's trying not to hit the wall in that one area. Let's see, I let go a little early there. Could have held a little longer. Maybe I lost half a second, but it's not a big deal. And Peril's pretty much the final skip of the game. It is the final stage of the game after all. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. And it ended up being much longer than I thought. It's gonna be like over 2 hours, even after editing. So yeah, there's a lot of stages I didn't cover. I didn't talk about any of the bosses, any of the water stages. There's a lot of little intricacies in every stage, so... And obviously some of the skips I talked about are for a race scenario. At least learn all the developer warps, because none of them are particularly hard and they save a lot of time. I think the super jump in Forest Frenzy is pretty beginner friendly. The super jump in Millstone Mayhem is also pretty beginner friendly. I think there's a lot of super jumps, especially the Mincers and Misty ones, and Oil Drum Alley. I think they're all pretty neat because it's easier to learn than learning the whole stage, I would say, and you can't die. Like if you get in a stage infinite in a race and you game over, it can be bad. Obviously in a race, maybe safety saves can be helpful. But anyway, I'm gonna try and wrap this up. I hope I can help at least one person with this tutorial. And once again, if you want to learn more, there's dkcspeedzones.com. Alternative link, shitgamequitforever.com. There's we've been working on that wiki for over like half a decade at this point. If you have any questions, obviously you can ask me on Discord. I'll be happy to reply. You can go on the Donkey Kong Discord. They'll be happy to reply. There's just so many resources for this game. And any of the Donkey Kong Country games, really. So yeah, thanks for watching. Good luck in your race if that's what you're going to be doing. And if you're doing the SNES Sprint, I hope you had a good Contra run, because that game is impossible. And hopefully you win the race.